In our city, silence was not just an absence of sound. It was a presence, a law etched in the very air we breathed, woven into the fabric of our lives. Every building, every alley, every flickering neon sign seemed to enforce this unspoken rule, reminding us that quiet was not a choice, but a mandate. It was a heavy blanket, suffocating every street, every soul, settling over us with a weight that could not be shrugged off. The silence seeped into our bones, making the city feel colder, emptier, as if time itself had slowed to a crawl. To make a sound was the ultimate transgression, a crime that could not be forgiven. Even the smallest noise, a cough, a whispered word, felt dangerous, as if it might shatter the fragile peace and bring the city's wrath upon us. We moved like ghosts, expressionless, having forgotten laughter and words. Our faces were blank, our eyes downcast, as if we feared that even a glance might betray us. The city was full of people, yet each of us was utterly alone, isolated by the silence that bound us. The quiet was a warden, and we were its prisoners, locked away not by walls, but by the invisible chains of fear and obedience. We learned to communicate with glances, with the smallest gestures, careful not to disturb the hush that ruled our world. Our days were measured by the soft scuff of shoes and the hum of regulators, machines that watched and listened, ensuring the silence was never broken. The city's heartbeat was mechanical, steady, and unyielding, a constant reminder of the order we lived under. The silence was a physical weight, pressing down, discouraging rebellion. It dulled our senses, made us forget the sound of our own voices, and taught us to fear the very idea of noise. Even our dreams were quiet, for memory was a greater crime than sound. We learned to suppress our thoughts, to bury our memories deep, lest they give rise to forbidden words or laughter in the night. In the city of the silent, memory was the seed from which noise could grow, a dangerous spark in a world built on stillness, a reminder that even in the deepest quiet, the longing for sound could never be fully erased. The city, Ethelberg, was a symphony of blue and silver. Sunlight was a myth. Light pillars cast a sterile glow. Buildings were ice shards, offering no comfort. Streets were obsidian mirrors, reflecting the uncaring sky. The endless blue submerged us, a command to forget the past. We walked in silent rhythm under the watchful eyes of sentinels. Nature was distant, the city a sealed terrarium. It was a tomb, beautiful and dead. My name is Neshan. I am a shadow in the city, moving quietly through the labyrinth of concrete and neon, working in the archives where secrets are buried beneath layers of dust and silence. Each day I blend into the background, unnoticed, a silent observer cataloguing the remnants of a world that once felt alive. Yet, even in the monotony, a flicker of curiosity persisted within me, a stubborn ember that refused to die, no matter how cold the world became. One cycle, as I sifted through forgotten files and relics, I found an anomaly. A paper bird, delicate and yellowed with age, a relic of the past that seemed impossibly out of place in our sterile metallic world. It was a profound miracle in our world of cold surfaces, a fragile echo of something beautiful and human that had almost been erased. I smuggled it out, feeling its secret warmth pressed against my skin, as if it carried a heartbeat of its own, a pulse from another time. The bird was a symbol of a forgotten world, a messenger of defiance, whispering stories of hope and rebellion, in a place where such things were forbidden. It represented a freedom I couldn't comprehend, a kind of flight I had only ever dreamed about, a longing for skies I'd never seen. As I held it, a question formed in my mind. What sound would a bird like this make if it could sing? Would it remember the songs of the wind, or the laughter of children in forgotten parks? The bird was a relic of a lost art, a fossil of a forgotten feeling, a testament to the creativity and tenderness that once defined us. In its fragile wings, I saw a promise of something more, a hope that even in the darkest places, beauty and memory can survive, waiting to be found. The paper bird became my obsession, a key to a forgotten world. Each crease and fold felt like a ritual, a silent invocation to memories I could almost touch but never quite grasp. In the quiet of the pod, I would sit for hours, letting my fingers remember what my mind could not. The bird was more than paper. It was a question, a longing, a secret I was desperate to unlock. I imagined the sound of its wings, a struggle against my silent mind. Sometimes, in the stillness, I could almost hear a faint flutter, as if the bird was alive, trying to remind me of something precious. The silence around me grew heavy, filled with the echo of a memory I couldn't name. This conflict awakened a deep yearning for something lost. It was as if a part of me was missing, a piece hidden in the shadows of my own mind. The city lights outside seemed distant, unreachable, mirroring the emptiness I felt inside. I searched the archives for clues, finding fragments of whispers and melodies. Each grainy image, each silent laugh, felt like a puzzle piece from a life I might have lived. The screens flickered with ghosts of joy and sorrow, and I clung to every detail, hoping for a sign. These images resonated with the longing stirred by the bird. They were echoes of a world that felt both impossibly distant and achingly close. I wondered if the people in those videos had ever felt the same emptiness, the same hunger for meaning. The conflict raged within me, risking everything for a chance at truth. Every step forward felt dangerous, as if I was trespassing in forbidden territory. But the need to know, to remember, was stronger than my fear. My curiosity was a beacon, but to stop felt like surrendering my true self. I pressed on, guided by a hope I barely understood, unwilling to let go of the possibility that something beautiful waited for me. The bird was a promise, a memory of a soul I didn't know I had. It was fragile, yet powerful, a symbol of everything I had lost and everything I still hoped to find. I had to know if I could get it back. The urge to reclaim what was missing became my purpose, my reason to keep searching through the darkness. The paper bird was no longer just an object. It was a promise, a fragile hope that somewhere, hidden in the folds of memory, I could find myself again. The need to create a sound became unbearable. I stood before my window, feeling a scream building inside. My throat muscles were untrained, the idea of sound both terrifying and intoxicating. One night I decided to try, starting with something small. I closed my eyes, drew a breath, and let out a soft, airy sound. Whoosh! It was a thunderclap in the silence. Nothing happened. The city remained quiet. A wave of triumph washed over me. I had made a sound. I practiced every night, rediscovering a forgotten language. The silence in my pod was now punctuated by my small rebellions. My secret couldn't stay my own. The change was noticeable. I met Ilara's gaze, a shared curiosity in her eyes. I let out a soft breath as she passed, and she heard it. A connection was forged, deeper than any gesture. She tapped her chest, miming a heartbeat, acknowledging my sound. We were no longer alone in our rebellion. Others noticed, joining our silent conspiracy. Tiny acts, whispers in a hurricane of silence, spread hope. The city was still quiet, but it was no longer silent. We were rediscovering community one sound at a time. The rebellion grew, sounds small but courageous. We rediscovered community, speaking with tiny noises. The sentinels, programmed for loud sounds, missed our subtle rebellion. The city's fortress of silence was cracking. In the transport tube, a young man tapped a rhythm. An old woman sighed contentedly after drinking water. These were expressions of individuality, beautiful and unique. My paper bird was no longer just my secret. It became our emblem. We folded creatures, promises of a future with voices. We dared to build a future together. The breaking point came with a collective breath. A child's gasp of surprise broke the silence in the plaza. A sentinel turned, but we shielded the child with whispers. The sentinel, confused, moved on. We knew we had won. The silence was broken. Laughter filled the plaza, awkward but beautiful. A crack appeared in the clouds, sunlight streaming down. My window opened, fresh air filling my pod. My paper bird soared into the golden light, a messenger of hope. The silence was over. A new day had begun.